Hey Beacon, how's it going? Today we're going to talk about the lost art of journaling.
Dear Diary, today is Thursday. Pizza is good.
Not like that though. So one of the things that we've been talking about as a church body has been the idea of lengthening and strengthening. This is something that Matt's been talking about in his sermons recently, and I realized that it really lines up well with what we're talking about in Beacon as well. So to give you a little bit of context, the idea of lengthening, he kind of uses the analogy of a tent. So like when you're setting up a tent, you lay out the whole thing, and then you take the cords and attach them to a peg, and you pull them out really far, right? You're expanding the area that the tent takes up. And then once you've done that, you pound the stake into the ground to strengthen it. And once you've lengthened and strengthened, then the tent is able to stand up on its own, right? So if you take that analogy and apply it to our relationships with the Lord, we have a tent that is our relationship with the Lord, and we want to lengthen that, to stretch it out, to make it bigger, and then we want to pound it into the ground to make it stronger so that we can use it as shelter. Journaling is something that you've probably tried before, and it's something that I think that a lot of people do. But I think that there is a way that you want to journal, especially when spending time with the Lord, to get the most out of it. So one thing that I can think of that is not a good example of journaling is
Day 33 of self-isolation. Captain's Log. Tension is building as self-isolation continues. Bobby snapped at me today. Joke's on him though, because I've been using his socks as toilet paper for the past week.
as you can see, that was technically journaling, but it was also not the kind of reflective, growth-inducing journaling that we want to pursue. Okay, now that we've talked about a few ways that we want to avoid journaling, let's talk about some methods that we can use to make journal a helpful practice to strengthen our relationship with God.
April 20th, 2020, Genesis 1. Today I read Genesis chapter 1, and it really struck me the way that the chapter starts with God and builds toward his creation of man and the seventh day of rest. You can really see God's excitement and joy over his creation.
So one thing that's really important with journaling is that first you just give yourself a little bit of context. I have numerous journal entries where I didn't write down the date, and I have no idea if I was 22 or 7 when I wrote this journal entry. So first thing to do, write down the date and write down a small bit of context about what mindset you're journaling this in, or what you're experiencing. So it can be like the chapter and verse that you're reading in the Bible, or it could be a big life event that just happened to you. Just write it in one little sentence. Then the next thing that we want to do is, instead of jumping straight into writing down our thoughts, we want to first experience something that can cause us to feel a certain way so that we can process those emotions, right? Sometimes it's good to just write down your feelings and get those out there, but our ultimate goal is to write out our feelings so that we understand them, and then think about them to help us process them with the Lord. So you might pick a chapter in the Bible, read it, and then observe the things that you're reading. Spend some time thinking about it. After you've done that, the next step is to summarize those things. Don't just rewrite the chapter from the Bible in your journal. That can be good, but that's really not journaling. That's copying the Bible. Now that you just summarize the important parts of it, if you read the story of Joseph, all the way from when he was given the coat of many colors to when he is taken to Egypt in slavery, there's a lot of different things that might have stuck out to you. Maybe it really sticks out to you that one of his brothers, Judah, sticks up for him. So if that's the thing that sticks out to you, take the time to just journal about that. Don't journal every single thing that happened to Joseph. Okay. Now, once you've done that, I think that the final thing is to ask questions about what you've written down and thought about. In our example of Judah, why did Judah stick up for Joseph? Why did Judah not take the completely easy road and let his brothers kill Joseph? Why didn't Judah go and tell Joseph's dad, Jacob, what was going on? Those questions, even though they're pretty simple, you may even know the answer to some of them now. That gives you something, next time you read that chapter, that gives you something to go even deeper. That's the strengthening that we're really looking for. Okay, well, I hope that this has been a helpful video for you guys, and that it's going to be something that encourages you to journal and strengthen with the Lord this week. All right, have a good one.